Good. All right, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with the lovely Miss Unholy Sara. You guys may be familiar with her. She does have a YouTube channel, and she's got some really good stuff on there. Some good topics that she tackles from time to time. And I highly recommend you check out her channel and sub to her, definitely, so she can catch up to the 700 club that I'm in.
That'll be a while.
Yeah. Well, you never know, man. It happens pretty quickly after you hit a certain number. I think I find when you get around the 500 mark, it starts to just start adding up. So, because I guess more and more people are hearing about you. So, and hopefully people will go and sub there now. Go and sub there now, and then come back, because we're going to be chatting about your deconversion story today. And basically, what I like to hear is the journey you had from when you first sort of started realizing that the beliefs you had were nonsensical or not as true as you once believed them to be, and just take us on that and into becoming the atheist activist that you are today.
So it's kind of blurry. I'm going to tell you why. I started questioning my beliefs when I started dating a Mormon. I was originally Christian. I'm hearing.
Yeah, that was my phone.
Now.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Forgot to get rid of the volume. My bad.
Anyway, I was Christian. I started dating a Mormon guy, and
I'm
at
sorry.
that point, yeah, no kidding. At that point, I was kind of like, well, as long as they believe in Jesus, it's like the same thing, right? So I started learning about his beliefs and everything, and the stuff I learned from them was insane, but it didn't just make me question them. It made me question all of my Christian beliefs, because some of the stuff kind of started to just make everything unravel. I talked about at one point, I asked one of the missionaries if God doesn't give us more than we can handle, then why is suicide a thing? And she said,
good question.
I think what she came up with is that God doesn't give those people more than they can handle. God just
except when he does.
I just fucked it up. God doesn't give them more than they can handle. They just choose not to handle it.
And
that was
the whole free will thing, right?
Yeah, it was it. But the reason that whole section of my life, I am realizing now how much I talk with my hands. The reason that whole section of my life is so blurry and everything is that was when I started having some severe symptoms of mental illness, and that was a big part of what made me start questioning things too, because I was thinking, why would a loving God let this happen to me? It was at the time, it was really unbearable, and I didn't know what was happening or what was wrong or what was real. And so that just made everything start to really unravel. And then it was just confusion for a good couple of years, because that was when I was 19. I guess I really became an atheist maybe right around the time that guy and I broke up. And not because we broke up, just for but I didn't really know what that meant to me, what that meant about me, since I had really based my whole personality around my Christianity. I needed to kind of find out who I was without that. So confusion for a good couple of years of just not really knowing who I was, and then I became the really, really annoying atheist who was constantly questioning everything that my family believed at all those family events and stuff. My brother-in-law couldn't stand me at that point, and I love my brother-in-law, so I was sad about that. And then was around when I found YouTube atheism. I have no idea how I found that. Just genetically modified skeptic kind of popped up on my suggested videos at one point.
Cool.
And I binge watched him. Then he mentioned Cosmic Skeptic or someone at some point, and I binge watched them, and then just got the whole thing. And then after a while, I started thinking maybe I have something I could add to this, and didn't have the confidence to do it. And then around March, things started getting pretty bad with my mental health again, and I ended up having to leave my job. And I was like, well, I'm going to be really bored not working. So that was when I started my YouTube channel. I was like, screw it, I have nothing to lose. Why not? Probably
Yeah,
not
why
the
not?
best story.
I'm just reading some of the chat here, and I hear you're going to be on Atheist News' channel tomorrow doing some Jeopardy thing, eh?
Yes, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, he invited me as well. We still haven't really figured out which day we're going to do it, but it'll get done eventually. So
you should be there with me tomorrow.
I don't know. He's probably got everything already wrapped up.
Yeah, probably. I don't know who else is going to be there.
I'm not really that smart, so I don't know how well I'm going to do. Like, if all the questions are about like cartoons, I'm in. But or comic books or stuff like that, because I'm a complete idiot nerd. So
yeah, I don't intend to do well. I just think it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, for sure, it will.
I hope.
I'm sure it will be. But if it's atheist questions, I'm sure you'll do well, and I'm sure I'll probably actually answer one or two of them.
I don't know. I might make an ass of myself. I feel like people overestimate my intelligence online.
I know, I get the same thing sometimes. I'll be like, Atheist News, I'll take atheism for 100. What is an atheist? Somebody that doesn't believe in God. Is that right? No, I guess that would be what. How do they do it? They do a question. What's the answer or the question?
Yeah, and then you have to answer it in the form of a question.
Right. That's right. I was doing it all fucking backwards. See, I'm terrible at it.
I've never watched Jeopardy. I only know that from playing a Jeopardy game in my 4th grade class. So it's been a while.
Cool. Well, apparently, I am tentative for next month with Ex-Cult Baby, so that'll be cool.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, she's awesome. And
I love her.
I did the Star Trek trivia thing with her. Oh, mind you, I came in quite late at the end, but apparently I got a lot of the right answers, so that was pretty cool. So I know a little bit about Star Trek.
I know nothing about Star Trek.
Just don't get into the technical manual details, or I'll actually have to pull my book out and actually read it. So yeah, I have a technical manual for the 1701D Enterprise.
Sounds nerdy.
Oh, totally. It is. It's got all the schematics, and I had another one that had blueprints and shit, and we were going to actually put the posters up on the wall, but we ended up getting booted out of that place, and I have no idea what happened to that book after that. So shit goes missing. Anyways, let's get back to this deconversion thing, because like it's only like quarter after. You can't be finished already.
Well, I could go into more details about stuff.
Well, sure. Like let's talk about.
Just pushed through it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because that was pretty quick. Like, do you really? Can you remember back when you sort of first thought it was nonsense?
Not like a specific moment. It was the whole. It's so weird to think about. It was the whole relationship with that guy that really kind of set things in motion for me. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
You're talking about Mormonism too, which is a complete fucking left field Christianity belief system. They have like.
But as far as I was concerned at the time, Christians were Christians.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah.
So, but like you said, it's like pretty much extreme. In his family, I had a sound panel fall. Anyway, his family took things to an extreme. We were 19 at the time. He was still living at home. I was still living at home. And just the way the parents kind of treated the kids and used their religion to justify things, like so much shaming, so many fucked up things, kind of made me start to think, because like I said, as far as I was concerned at the time, Christians were Christians. It didn't matter if they were like just Protestants or Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. All that mattered to me was that they believed in Jesus Christ, therefore they were a Christian. So really everything I saw really kind of made me start questioning things. So when I saw that his parents used their religion to justify shaming their kids in like putting the idea in their heads that sex was like, and masturbation was like this horrible, evil thing, and how much it affected them.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, this guy would like maybe like once a month masturbate in the shower and was convinced he had a horrible addiction, and he was going to therapy for it. No, it gets worse. He was going to therapy for it, and
just
I was
once a month.
Yeah, just like once a month, maybe a little more than that. But he was going to therapy for it, and I was looking for a therapist at the time, so I decided to check out his therapist, and his therapist was from his church. Was from, I think, his ward.
Oh, goody.
So I went to, yeah. So I don't remember much from the one appointment I had with the guy, but I remember him at one point saying, "Oh, so your boyfriend tells me that there's been some sexual activity in the relationship," and that just raised so many red flags. I think because it was like
a little bit.
Well, that's like a whole other thing itself. There raised so many red flags for me because, like, you shouldn't be telling another client or patient or whatever what somebody else said. Like, I didn't bring it up. I didn't tell you that. Maybe I wasn't ready to talk about it. Right. But of course, he also jumped right into shaming me for it.
In the meantime, having probably some pretty disturbing thoughts in his head too.
Oh God, I didn't even think of that. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you're quite welcome. That's what I'm here for.
And there was some sexual activity. I did lose my virginity to him, although it was so bad that we weren't even sure that we did it right. And there was so much shame put on the both of us for it. Like, obviously, at first, he didn't let his parents know. He didn't tell them. But he was so ashamed, and he made me feel ashamed. And then eventually he told his parents. And apparently in this conversation, his mother called me a whore and compared him to somebody else we knew who was a Mormon, who also happened to have raped his little sister and constantly sexually harassed me and my younger sister. So that was the person he got compared to just for having consensual sex with another adult. So I feel like that gives a really good idea of the kind of shame and stuff that was in that household, and that really put a lot of questions in my head of, like, if they believe in God, they're praying to the same God I am, how come he's telling them this and he's not telling me this stuff? You know? So that's what made me really
start
questioning it. And the more lessons I had with the Mormon missionaries, the more I questioned things. And then we got to the last lesson, and they were like, "Okay, so are you ready to get baptized?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, that's the last lesson? That's it?" Like, I have so many more questions. And that was when I asked about, one of the questions I asked was about the suicide question. And at that point, I was like, yeah, no, that's it for me. And that's...
Suicide is considered a sin, I think, in any denomination. Pretty much, right?
Yep. That was something my mom made sure I knew when I was suicidal as a teenager.
Well, I mean, I get it. It could be a deterrent.
Yeah, it just made me feel worse, though.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I mean, ultimately, that's probably what's going to happen, because now you're starting to think of yourself as completely unworthy because you've had these thoughts of doing it, right? So I can imagine it probably drags you deeper in.
You know, and losing my faith kind of made me a lot more suicidal as well.
Just because... What were you feeling like lost when that happened? Or?
Yeah, so like I said, I was having a lot of really bad mental health problems. I had been depressed and suicidal for years, and I felt like there was no... When I started to think there's no God, there's no afterlife, I started to think there's no purpose. There's no chance for me to ever find any kind of happiness, because I'm not going to be happy with this sick brain of mine.
Right.
And... like, there's no chance that a God could fix it, so it can't be fixed, which was wrong, by the way.
Yeah, so, of course.
Yeah, so it made me even more suicidal for a couple of years, until I guess I worked through it with the help of my therapist, who was really awesome, and I really miss her. I had to stop seeing my therapist a couple months ago when my insurance switched, and I haven't found a new one. But sorry, I'm getting off topic. Anyways. Where was I going?
Well, we're talking about how you were feeling a little bit more depressed after a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, so especially after, well, before I get into that, while I was deconverting, I was still dating that guy. I was trying to get him to deconvert with me, and there's a lot I did really bad there. A lot of crappy things I said and did, and then things I did that just solidified his faith, which I feel really guilty about.
I don't think you need to worry about that now.
I don't know. I still feel bad because his faith was the justification for so many horrible things being said to him and so many horrible feelings he had and everything. And it's not like I hate him. I mean, I haven't talked to him in years, but I still care about him. I still think about him, and I still worry about what kind of harm I could have caused. And I think maybe that's part of why I started doing YouTube, so that I can maybe try and make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, maybe someday he'll come across my channel, and then after being pissed off at me for talking about any of this, maybe he'll start to see the other side of it and why he shouldn't feel ashamed for having sexual urges, especially as a teenager. He was a goddamn teenager. I digress again. But especially
the whole shaming thing always blew me away. Anyways, I mean, like, come on, people. We are literally mammals, and mammals get sexual sometimes. So get over yourselves. And what the fuck does an omnipotent being even give a shit what you do behind closed doors, anyways? It's like, how fucking pervy is this guy? Is he constantly watching you or something? Like I could just see him up there in the clouds going, "Oh yeah, that's it." Like, what the fuck?
As a Christian filled with shame, though, I could see him up in the clouds looking down on me like, how could you, Sarah?
None of that.
You know what I mean? But right around the time when he broke up with me because he felt too ashamed about having had sex. And around that time, everything kind of fell apart. My faith was totally gone. There were a couple of times between then and like a couple years later where I like tried praying, tried getting my faith back, because you don't really necessarily have a choice in what you believe.
No, I'd say you pretty much don't. You're either convinced of something or you're not, really, is
exactly.
the way it falls.
And I couldn't reconvince myself of my former Christian beliefs and stuff. But I lost my faith. I had lost my boyfriend, who I, at the time, was so sure I was going to marry and we were going to be together forever. We had dated 5 months. And I was like, we're going to get married.
That's not uncommon, though.
Yeah, now I've been dating...
Those relationship delusions of grandeur happen.
Especially when you're younger. Now I've been dating my boyfriend for almost 3 years, and I'm like, maybe we get engaged next year. And like, I know I talk about being engaged a lot and stuff, but I also want to be engaged for a while before we get married.
Of course. It's like a trial run or something.
Yeah, it's like I can't imagine not living with someone before marrying them, like, and not having sex with someone before marrying them, all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. It's like buying a car. You got to take it for a test drive to make sure you even like the damn thing.
Mm-hmm. And so right around the time that he broke up with me for that was also like a month after my mom and my 2 sisters moved out of Colorado up to Idaho. Up, down, whatever. They moved to Idaho, and it was just me and my dad and I really didn't have the best relationship, so I also felt like I had lost my family. And so, yeah, it really put me in a really bad place. And
well, how did your family react when they found out that you had deconverted?
None of us remember. I was actually calling around my family, trying to see if anyone remembered, because like I said, my memory's a little foggy. But I don't remember telling my mom, but I've always been very open about it. So like they were with me on the whole like experience and stuff. And actually my older sister deconverted alongside me.
Okay. Cool.
I think my mom is probably still disappointed, but she's a very supportive parent, so she's still like, support. She even watches my channel. Like, she's still a Christian. She probably still wants me to be a Christian, but she still watches my channel, so that's cool. And my dad was probably completely unaware because my dad's very oblivious like that. And then my younger sister and I had a huge falling out relating to religion, because my younger sister and my mom at the time were Mormon. They've since they're like in the process of finding a different church. They're not super into the Mormon church anymore, but at the time they were Mormon. And so as I was bashing on the Mormon religion, they were like, "Hey, hold up a minute." And my mom kind of let it go because I was just like an angry teenager or whatever. But my little sister was like, "Hey,
teen angst."
No." I went through my rebellious phase really late. I like 20 or like 19 years old to like still now is my rebellious stage. But yeah, none of us really remember there being like a definite moment where like I never like had to come out of the atheist closet because I was always very open with my family about it. And my sister, the one who deconverted with me, was the one I talked to the most about it. And she was very supportive of everything.
Did they ever show you their magic underwear?
Well, my mom had surgery a little over a year ago. And so I had to help her get dressed a couple times after that. So I've seen the Mormon magic underwear. That and yeah, that's probably the only time because the guy I was dating didn't have them because he wasn't temple worthy. So yeah, that's probably the only time. Oh God, she'd kill me for telling you that.
She'll never know.
Yeah,
don't ever give her the link to this.
Yeah, she watches my channel sometimes. She doesn't watch me on other people's channels. I make sure of that.
Oh, that's good. Oh, hello, Matthew Randall, who finally shows up to one of my shows after like a month and a half. You prick. Anyway, he's gonna love that.
All right. When it finally catches up to him hearing it.
Yeah. There's always that delay, which is I think it's happening now. So
there's the LOL.
Yeah, there it is.
So after the breakup and the mental health issues were still going on, and my family had moved away, total downward spiral for like a good year and a half, maybe 2 years. Year and a half. It was a year and a half.
What did you do? Like when you were feeling that way, like were there people you could reach out to? Like family members or friends that were there for you when you went into these sort of modes?
Sometimes. My older sister and I are really, really close, but she also has really bad mental health. Hers are all anxiety. And she'd call me crying in the middle of a panic attack, and I'd have to help calm her down. And that's not usually the best time to be like, by the way, I'm very depressed right now.
Do you find maybe helping her out kind of brought you out of it a little?
No, it made me feel helpful. And it made me feel sad that my sister was going through that. Yeah, it was positive, but I don't think it brought me out of things. Because it was after she got her shit together, after she was able to get her coping mechanisms and the right medication and everything, and she's doing so much better now. She's not even on the medication, and she seems to be doing well. Yeah, I'm really proud of her. I keep getting notifications on my phone to come watch this live stream.
I know, I do too. So they keep popping up on my computer here too. But that's just because I haven't turned off the notifications, which is no big deal. Hello, Bad Temper Badger.
I also haven't said hi to Sassy, and I feel like there was someone else I wanted to say hi to, but I don't remember. Yeah, there's 21 people here, but there were a few I wanted to say hi to, and I just didn't.
Fuck them. No, I'm kidding. They're all good people.
Yeah, they're obviously good people. They're watching your live stream.
Well, that doesn't... I mean, I've had some crazy-ass fucking Christians pop in on this and start preaching and shit, so...
I mean, honestly, you can be a crazy Christian and still be a good person. I was a really crazy Christian, and I like to think I was still a good person.
I imagine you probably were.
I hope so.
Hello, Mark Caesar. Holy cow. And Orla's here, and Julie LaVoice. And, wow, cool.
Julie, that's the other one I wanted to say hi to. Where's Junk Shop?
Where's who? What? Who?
Junk Shop Library. He's normally there whenever... Yeah, he's normally there whenever Julie's there.
I have no idea. Are you there, Junk Shop? Junk Shop Library. Why does that sound so familiar?
He has a YouTube channel.
Right.
He does a lot of Bible readings, atheist Bible readings.
That's it. That's why. That's why. Now I know it now comes. Awesome.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm
now that
sorry I
we've been
keep getting...
distracted by the chat yet again.
After a year and a half, I moved out to Idaho with my mom and sisters. Well, like, they were already here, but I went to visit, and Katya, my younger sister, convinced me to stay. And now, by the way, they've left again in late March, early April. My mom and sisters went back to Colorado, so I'm alone in the state again, and this time with just my boyfriend. So hopefully we don't break up. But after about a year and a half, I moved out here, and things still weren't great. And I was switching around therapists and psychiatrists a lot. And a year after that was my last suicide attempt. And that was the only one that got bad enough that we needed like an ambulance, but they came and checked me out and I didn't need to go to the hospital. So it wasn't that bad. I sucked at it. I'm really glad I sucked so bad at it. And after that, it was like 6 months after that, I found my most recent therapist, and that's when things started getting a lot better. And that's when, right around the same time too, that I found the YouTube Atheist community, and I started to feel less alone because, most people, when you grow up around Christians, it really feels like most people are Christians. And I guess most people are religious, but, the non-religious section is growing more and more. So finding out that there's not only other atheists who talk about it openly, but so many of them that people like Genetically Modified Skeptic and Mr. Atheist, and I don't know who else has as many, but like people like that have over 100,000 subscribers.
Holy
and then
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you knew.
Apologia, Godless Cranium. These people are up there.
Yeah. So there's at least
had them
100,000.
all on my show too.
Nice. Yeah. Can they all come on my show now?
I'm sure if you ask nicely. You know what? The funny thing is I didn't, when I went to Faithless Forum, I didn't really know these people. I interacted a few times with some of them, mostly with the ones that I'd had on my show, like Eric Murphy's, Shannon Q, Cranium, but he ended up not being there anyways. But I figured I didn't know if these people were going to be approachable, if they were going to be arrogant or egotistical. And I found out that they're completely not any of that. Like you can walk up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm a fan, blah, 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 shake their hand and like, oh, lovely, here's a beer. Like that kind of thing. Like that's just the way it was. Like Aaron Raw, especially when I was there, he would not let me be empty-handed. He's like, you don't have a beer. And he'd give me a beer. And I'd be like, all right, Captain, sure.
Yeah, when I started
cool.
this whole... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Go ahead.
When I started this whole thing, I didn't expect to ever get... First of all, I didn't expect to ever get past maybe like 20 or 30 subscribers. So the fact that I have like 375 right now is mind-boggling.
That many people are interested in what I have to say?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. It's really helped me. Like, I'm a lot more confident about my own intelligence since I started YouTube, because I've been told my whole life that... Well, I've been told my whole life either that I'm not very bright or I'm just not school smart or, those sorts of things that really make you feel like you're just stupid. So,
but you're not. And don't let anyone ever tell you that. Nobody's going to sub to you if you're dumb. Well, there is PewDiePie, so I guess that is a thing. But anyway.
PewDiePie has the most subscribers of like anyone.
He even just launched a phone app for pretending to be a YouTuber. And you can pretend to be, it's weird.
I don't need to pretend, though. I could just be a YouTuber.
Yeah, you could be. Anyone can, really, as long as they have something to provide to the conversations that we're talking about. Yeah,
no kidding. But the other thing I really didn't expect when starting this was that I would ever be talking to, like, the bigger YouTubers. Do you remember when I was in the your after party with Drew? And I said something about, like, I was surprised that he knew who I was, and he was like, that's my job, though. That was a big moment for me. I was like, whoa. It's Genetically Modified Skeptic's job to know who I am, and the people that I'm, like, now friends with, like, Meredith from Nervardia, who used to become Australian, and like ex-Cult Baby and Sassy. He knows who all of us are, and it was just fun to me. So I definitely didn't expect to be known by the bigger YouTubers, and it turns out they're all really, really nice.
Yes, they are.
So yeah, definitely agree with you there. Really want to go to Faithless Forum next year.
I mean, I'm even proud to say I've been giving Jimmy some Yu-Gi-Oh tips. So
Jimmy plays Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah.
I haven't had anyone to play Yu-Gi-Oh with since I left my job working with disabled kids.
Hello? Like, I literally have fucking a bazillion cards right over there.
Okay, but you live in, what, Canada?
Yeah. That's that place
that's a little far away from the game shops I normally... Well, it's a little far away from the game shops I normally play at.
Yeah, have you not played online? Like with somebody online?
Mm-mm.
I used to do it through Skype all the time. I used to... Actually, when I had my Yu-Gi-Oh channel, as my gaming channel, I used to do unboxings and package openings and duels and stuff at the locals. But I would also do what I called interviews, where I would interview and duel someone at the same time, like other YouTubers that were doing the topic, like known ones like Simu or Dragon Duelist Girl or like a bunch of the known Yugi tubers. We called them Yugi tubers. But yeah, I used to have them on there and I'd duel them and interview them at the same time.
It's really hard to type with the way my phone and computer are right now, but I was going to type to Atheist Rationale. That, for some reason, that surprises me less. But yeah, I mean, we could play some. Maybe you can help me figure out how to build a decent deck, because the only people I've ever played with is a currently 13-year-old, at the time 12-year-old, who had no idea how to build a deck. He was a 12-year-old, fairly severely autistic kid. And then one guy at the game store who would play with us, mostly because he had a big crush on me.
Aww.
And I have one deck that was built for me by someone else, but it's an Exodia deck, so it's not like legal.
Oh, good lord. The odds of pulling an Exodia deck off are extraordinarily low, like, because they've limited you to one copy of each of the parts of the Exodia, so you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you use cards like you got to have really good draw engine in order to get those cards, right? So, and God the Good One is in the chat now, and I don't know how come I've never had a 604 Atheist interview, because I've offered, you big noob, and you just said you don't really have much time to do it. But DM me, man, and we'll set something up, because I would fucking love to have a chat with you, man. You're one of my favorite atheist YouTubers.
I don't know God the Good One. I'll have to check out the channel.
Oh my God, go sub to him, because he's hysterical. And he can play guitar, and he sings and does stuff too that's really cool. And if he lived here, he'd probably be in my fucking band. Let's put it that way.
You have a band?
Yeah. What? You don't know this?
I
try to whore out my music all as much as possible. Yeah.
Well, you're not doing a good enough job, because I didn't know about this.
Well, I thought you were involved in like chats where I've mentioned it before. Well, if you're interested, it's kind of harder edged rock. We have some acoustic stuff. We kind of like to keep a sound that is varied. You know, we don't want to be labeled as like, it's just another Nickelback where every fucking song sounds the same. So we put a little variation in our tunes. Some of them sound bluesy, some of them sound harder edge, some of them are acoustic, some of them are in the middle, some of them have an 80s flair, some of them have a 90s flair. But we like to sort of, I guess, mimic our influences, which are bands like Black Sabbath and Rush, and even more modern bands like Tool or Soundgarden, stuff like that, right? So we kind of absorb all that different stylings into our music. And if you want, you can check it out on SoundCloud. We're called Liminus, and it's Limis. And you can definitely check that out. I recommend the songs I recommend right off the hop would be Aaron Ra's favorite tune, which is called Taste My Sin. Sin. And another one is our tribute to the 80s kind of rock scene, which would be Immortal Realm, which is a song I wrote way back when I was still kind of believing in afterlife sort of thing, because I had I guess you could call it, although it wasn't obviously an out-of-body experience, but it was all in my head, clearly. But anyways, it's about that. And also I had another one to check out would be Tangled and Dollhouse, which is a song I wrote while I was sitting on the shitter reading a magazine article about the child prostitution ring that was going out of Toronto, where they would sucker young Asian girls over to here by promising that they'd be set up with a job, et cetera, and then the rest of the family could follow after a year or something like that. And like 90% of these kids were never heard from again. So it kind of touched me. So I wrote a little bit of a song about that one. Yeah.
That's depressing.
Yeah, it is, but
it should be.
Yeah, it should. You're damn right it should be. This kind of shit shouldn't be happening, and people like that should be fucking locked up or stuck in a wooden shack and burnt to death for all I care.
Apparently, the town I live in is really big for sex trafficking. Kids, adults, guys, girls, anyone, and like half the people here don't realize it, but it's like notorious to the point where I mentioned something about it on Facebook once, and somebody I didn't know replied to me like, "Oh, you're living in this town?" So like they knew, and they're living in friggin' Australia, and they knew what town I was talking about just based on it's in Idaho. Huh?
Fake country, Australia.
Yeah, the fake country. Well, they were from Canada. They just moved to the fake country.
It's another fake country. You heard South Park's not even a real country anyway. So,
you know what you made me think of though when you were talking about the songs of the out-of-body experience and stuff? I guess I'm technically still deconverting because I still haven't fully given up hope on the idea of an afterlife.
Well, the sad thing is, which is something I had to face eventually too, when you die, you're not going to know. So that's true. You're basically going to return to the state you were in before you were born. Do you remember that? Yeah. No. It'd be cool and it'd be really nice if there was. And who knows? Who knows? I can't really say with 100% impunity that there isn't, but I'm pretty sure based on my almost dying myself, which is where that story comes from, actually. Not so much the out-of-body experience, but it felt like one, because I was at camp and I hit my head on the dock as I was shooting myself up out of the water, knocked myself out cold, and drowned. And I was pulled out of the water, but I remember seeing people resuscitating me. And that's kind of what spawned the idea for that song. And then next thing I knew, I was looking up at the people resuscitating me. So I'm pretty sure, and you know, the weird thing, when I think back about it now, the weird thing is, I remember seeing people resuscitating me, or I thought I was. And then I come to, and the surroundings were nowhere near as similar as they were in what I thought I was seeing. So that kind of clinched it for me, that it was just something my brain was doing to help alleviate the traumatic event, I assume, or suppose. So,
yeah, I've heard that that's what that is, just your brain kind of filling it in when you come back.
That's right.
But I think I'll stand on, I think where I stand, it's pretty much, yeah, there's probably nothing, but I mean, maybe there's something, and we can't know for sure. Yeah, and that's, yeah, it's nice to think it, and so I think it, but logically, I know it's probably just nothing.
It's called wishful thinking.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
It's like, logically, I know that when my boyfriend gets home, he's just going to come in and play video games, but I like to think that he'll come home with like chocolates and flowers and be all nice and stuff. He never does that.
What? Really?
I think he's brought me home flowers twice, and once was on Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. So, well, at least he brings them home on the days where it actually he could get in shit for not doing it. So
once was on Valentine's Day. The other 2 Valentine's Days that we've been together, he didn't.
Oh, did he bring anything home, or did he come home and go, "Oh yeah, it's Valentine's Day"?
The first year he waited a day and then went to the store and bought a shit ton of candy and gave like half of it to me and kept half of it. And then the next year he brought me home flowers, and then this past year he got me some sort of a gift. I think it was like a necklace or something from Hot Topic.
It must have made a huge impact.
Huh?
It must have made a big impact. I think it was a necklace.
Well, he actually brings me home little gifts fairly often.
Well, that's cool.
So since he's had a job that pays a lot less. But yeah, he still does, like, sometimes it'll be like a little piece of jewelry. Sometimes it'll be like a chocolate bar or something. Yeah,
get him to start a PayPal Me account for helping me get stuff for my girlfriend. By the way, people, I now have a PayPal Me account. If you want, you can help me improve my channel because this SD camera bullshit sucks. But if I plug in my HD camera, my computer goes, and that's about it, right? So, but I do have the new one coming.
If we're plugging, I have one too, and I have a Patreon.
There you go. You haven't even started
a Patreon. I'll make it better double-sided tape so that this doesn't keep happening.
I was just going to say, you lost the blue cube there.
I know. Does it look blue? It's purple.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I look at it on the phone, watching it here on the phone, and it looks purple. So it's just probably the fucking coloration bullshit on my computer. But yeah, it's like a purpley blue when I look at it here.
All right.
Anyway. All right.
Anyway. Did we get to everything?
Yeah, well, you said you pretty much wrapped it up 15 minutes in. So I kind of had to.
Well, I did like a quick going through. I was nervous, okay?
It's all right. You have no reason to be nervous. Do you feel like you need to be nervous now?
I feel like I need to be nervous literally always.
Well, I try to make it fairly easygoing for people. So.
I mean, you're a cool guy. That helps.
Well, thanks. I don't know about that, but thanks.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I would like to add.
Round, round, get around, I get around. Oh, someone's singing Beach Boys. The sassy atheist, actually. Oh, and actually, you know what? I forgot to ask you. Mark Caesar had a question when we were talking about the afterlife stuff. He was asking, "Are you a victim of Pascal's wager, Sarah?" Which is better to believe than not believe, just in case. Kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you that the first time I heard about Pascal's wager, it was when I think Paula Gia was talking about it. It might have been someone else. So that was the first I heard of Pascal's wager. So I'd say probably not.
It's not so much that it's a Pascal's wager thing. It's like we were saying. It's more like a wishful thinking. We kind of wish there could be some kind of afterlife because we kind of like this experience of being alive and experiencing the world and the universe. And it'd be cool if it would continue once we're no longer in physical form. But unfortunately, one of the things I always often thought about when we're talking about, you know, ghosts and spirits and living past your physical form is, what the fuck is containing your energy? What are you, a hologram? That doesn't make any sense. So what's containing your energy? Nothing. You just dissipate if that was the case. So that's why I don't think that there's actually an afterlife.
My boyfriend has
put you in a jar.
My boyfriend definitely believes in ghosts and the paranormal.
Oh, does he?
Stuff. Yeah, so I don't really believe in it.
Nah.
So that's just like, you know, you don't have to agree on everything in a relationship.
No, of course not. But that's like,
it's more fun if you don't.
That's when you get those heated arguments. Then you get to have all that great makeup sex later.
Oh my god!
I don't know. That's where the first thing my head went to. Anyways, I was gonna say my old roommate of mine used to say, you know, this whole idea of there being no conflict and peace among is never going to happen. It's like a pipe dream, because even if you're down to 2 people left on the planet, there's still 2 opinions, and those opinions could you know, clash. So it's a nice thought, but let's be real, folks.
Junk Shop just showed up.
Yeah, Junk Shop jumped in a little while ago. And Junk Shop, I did sub to you. I don't know if you got the notification that I sub to you, but I just sub to you, so you could return the favor, man.
I'm willing to bet he's probably sub to you. Why wouldn't he be? You're too awesome to not.
Well, thanks. I mean, I've only seen like I think 1 or 2 of his, and I should have been sub because I enjoyed what I saw, but definitely I think he's criminally undersubbed. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. All you guys in here now, including you, tatted philosophy, now that you've just snuck in here, go and sub to Junk Shop Library. And hello, Pikachu. Yes, you are 45 minutes late. Actually, we're probably going to be wrapping it up in a few minutes, but there will be an after party. So if anyone would like to join us for the after party, you know what to do. You can, if you're in my group, which I can add you to, by the way, also, Sarah, because there's room, I think, for 1 or 2 more people. I'm almost at 50, and I think you can only have 50 in a group. But anyway, tatted. Don't tell me what to do. I'm not tatted. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm suggesting something to do.
Can I be in the after party?
Can you? Yeah, of course you can. You're the guest of honor. What are you talking about? So we're going to have an after party, and Sarah's not allowed. We're going to make fun of her the whole time.
Can I say one more thing, or talk quickly about one more thing before we wrap up?
Knock yourself out? Well, not literally.
So, when you deconverted, did you ever go through the stage of being like an angry atheist? Like you were pissed off about there being no God, all that stuff?
No.
No?
No. The only time I ever got angry is when I saw religious people or believers posing some sort of threat or harm over other individuals. That's about the only time I ever get angry. I was raised, my story's fucked. I was conceived by Christians, raised by Jews. Pretty much even before my bar mitzvah hit, I was already like, this stuff's horse shit. And, even as a kid, so I was already on the path, but I was looking for other quote unquote spiritualistic type belief systems. And I became a pagan, a Wiccan, for a little while. And slowly but surely, once, the realization that all that shit fucking woo-woo nonsense as well, no offense, Ocean, if you're listening, I just moved right out of all those faith-based or religious-based belief systems, and I became quite a harsh skeptic, and it pissed off a lot of people, actually, that I know. So it's every time they try to tell some kind of a story, I go, well, how do you know that was real? That kind of thing. The whole epistemology avenue, which I took, and I do actually want to eventually get a little bit more into street epistemology and stuff like that. As I was talking with Anthony Magnabosco when I was down in Texas, we were having lunch together, and he's like, yeah, anytime you're ready, I can show you some of the ropes and stuff like that. And so, well, I kind of got a good thing going now, which I'll stick with for a while, but eventually I will add some street epistemology type conversations with believers and stuff as well. I've actually already got this one lady that I've been going at it with, not in that way, you fucking perverts. But
That is exactly where my mind went.
I like you. But anyways, she's going on about how the Bible is backed up by the science, and I'm like, no, it's fucking not. She thinks that the global flood happened. I'm like, no, it didn't. That kind of shit. And I invited her. I said, well, you can come onto my channel, and we can talk about this kind of thing, and I'll figure out why you convinced yourself that this shit was real, and maybe we can get into it. And she still kind of hasn't replied to that one yet, but she says, I'm going to burn in hell. And she did make some valid points. I mean, she says, there's sulfur in the Earth's core, and that's where hell is. I'm like, well, you're right. About 90% of Earth's sulfur resides in our core, but that's irrelevant because hell isn't fucking real. So, but anyway, yeah.
You kind of ruined my point by not having an angry state.
Julie's like, Neil, phrasing. I see we have another Archer fan. I still have to watch the new season of Archer, too.
I've never seen Archer.
Oh, my God. Watch Archer. It's awesome.
Okay, I will. But what I wanted to say about the angry stage of deconverting, hey, X-Cool baby! What I wanted to say about the angry stage of deconverting is that it seems to be something that happens to a lot of people, and when you get to the other side of it, it's really embarrassing. But I kind of just want to encourage people to know that a lot of us have been there. I've been there. I nearly made my sister and brother-in-law disown me. So, and
Is your brother still a believer, though?
My brother-in-law? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's married to my sister, and they're both like wanting to raise their kids in the church.
Oh boy, you ever come to blows with these guys or what?
Huh?
You ever come to blows with them? Like, shut up,
no.
and fuck you, and
Not
you're
anymore.
bullshit, and you know.
No, there have been times where I've made them want to punch me, but they're both very nice, passive people. My sister's actually got no problem with the idea of me, like, talking to her kids about skepticism and atheism and stuff, as long as I don't trash talk whatever religious beliefs they have.
Right.
Know? So that's nice, because she's going to have like 6 of them.
Oh, good Lord. She's a baby factory.
That's her plan. I think she's going to get to like 2 and be like, you know what, that's enough. But she wants to have enough to make up for the fact that my older sister and I don't want kids.
Well, there you go. I don't want any either. I mean, there's rumor that I have one flown around, but I don't know. It's possible. I mean, I was quite the whore as a young kid, but you could say. But
well, I'm sure if you had one and you met them, you'd be very like you'd love them still. I'm sure if I ever had a kid, despite not wanting one, if I ever had one, I'm sure that I would love them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure too. I mean, let's put it this way. I only discovered my biological family in the year 2000. So, which means I've known them for almost half my life now, because I've remained in contact and hung out with them. I go fishing with my biological dad all the time, and see my sister all the time. I had 2 sisters, but one was killed in a motorcycle accident a few years ago. And my biological mom died of just this freak embolism that happened while they were down in Yuma, Arizona. So yeah, already 2 of them are gone now, but I'm fortunate enough to have met them and was able to spend multiple years with them to get to know them. So I'm thankful for that.
I'm looking forward to being a foster parent when we're going to wait until we're married, and we're going to wait until I'm done with school, and we're probably going to buy a house before we...
I thought you were going to say you're going to buy a kid.
What? No.
Then we're going to buy kids.
Just foster them. We're not going to buy them.
Okay. We're down at Kids R Us.
No, they got shut down around the same time as Toys R Us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, they did have Babies R Us, and I'm like, what the fuck are they selling children now? Right? Which is like the little kid version of Toys R Us. But anyway, yeah, I was like, holy shit, Babies R Us. Hey, you want a baby? Let's go. The girlfriend's like, no, let's do it the old-fashioned way. I'm down. I'm down. I could get into the practicing.
Practicing?
As I call it, pretend spawning. That's what I used to call it. Well, it's 5, and I know we started a little bit late, but let's get into an after party with some of our goofy friends who are claiming that we're goofy too.
Goofies. One word for us.
Thank you, Julie. It was pretty tough to. It's pretty tough to lose family and friends, and I've lost multiple over the last probably 10 years, anyways, including my adopted father who died of cancer, which is why I started the blood donor group in his honor, because he was BC's highest donor. He had over 530 something donations, so somebody had to replace that. So I figured, fuck it, I'll go to the blood clinic and tell them that I'm going to start a Partners for Life group in his honor. So I started the in honor of Frank Bernstein Blood Donor Partners for Life group, and I was on the news about it to hopefully to get some interest. And it's funny because when I first went and told them that, they said, well, you should make a pledge for your first year. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure I could beat my dad's numbers. And they're like, what? No, that doesn't happen. That's never happened in Canadian history. Well, guess what? A year later, the group that I put together, just through social media, news bits and pieces, and a radio spot, etc., I was able to accrue about 200 people into my group the first year, and we broke his record. 681 donations in the fucking first year. And they were like, holy shit.
You are an inspiration.
Oh, thanks. I'm goofy, but I'm an inspiration, which is so true. Anyway, so yeah, I was pretty proud of that fact. And that's the first in Canadian history, by the way. So I might go down into the books for that. And I always say to people, when you hear theists and stuff, well, what's the purpose? What's the point? Then fucking make one. Okay. Leave a legacy. That's how you actually live on. You leave a legacy behind that people talk about for centuries to come. Like we still talk about people like George Washington, or in Canada's case, what's her name on the new $10 bill? Basically, our version of Rosa Parks. Anyway, but you get the idea. You leave a legacy behind, a story that people will tell. That's how you live on. Oh, Julie saw the blood donor thing on my Twitter. Your dad's O negative. So was my dad. He was O negative as well. I'm O positive, so it's not as good, but at least I can donate to half the blood group, which is good. What the cool thing that they do now that I just love is they send you a text when your blood donation goes out to save a life. Your blood is on the way to save the life of the child next door at BC Children's Hospital or whatever. I'm just like, yes. I'm going to go visit that kid, but they never tell you who it is. I don't know. But anyways, I also have a side project that I do called Lifeblood Entertainment that's kind of been on hiatus for like the last 4 years. But we do shows with other bands, and we raise money for the Ronald McDonald House Foundation. And also some funds go to the Canadian Blood Services to help them improve their equipment, stuff like that. And so I always raise money for the special needs kids and stuff. So, yeah. I used to be involved with Variety Club a little bit too, but the guy there kind of got pissed off at me for one time, and we kind of broke ties, which is sad. But anyway, what can you do? I found another one. Right? It happens, yeah. All right. Well, Sarah, all I can say is thank you so much for hanging out with me for this hour.
Thanks for having me here.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Yeah, well, I try to make it fun.
Sorry I went through my story so quick.
Well, that's okay, because we were able to stretch it out with some little sidetracking things here and there.
Oh, a lot of sidetracking.
And some of that extra innuendo-y stuff. Anyways, so guys, we're going to get into an after party. So if you're interested, I'll post a link to join the after party in the Neil's Usual Suspects group. If you're not in that group, then I will expect a DM if you do want to join. You can send me a DM. I will definitely look at my, those messages you get in the extra message pile that you haven't already spoken to someone. So it shows up as that little number, message requests, I think they're called. Yep. Anyways. So yeah, and I'll look for that. So if there is anyone that would like to hang out with us and carry on the conversation a little longer, you're welcome to do so. I can go for about an hour or so, and then I'm heading the fuck out of here to hit the pub and meet up with a buddy of mine and have some wings. Yay, I like wings. But anyways, yeah. So we're going to do that probably within the next 8 to 10 minutes because I got to go pee because this stuff, you only rent it. So basically it goes right through me, and I'll have a quick smoke, and then we'll get things going. All right. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us. All you people out there, I see many names. I'm not going through all of them, but you know who you are because you're in the chat right now. And look for Unholy Sara on the Atheist News Jeopardy Atheist Jeopardy thing that they're doing tomorrow. Tell them what time.
Oh, God, what time was it? I think it was 8 o'clock my time, and I'm Mountain Time. I'm sorry, I'm such a mess. I don't remember.
8 o'clock Mountain, so that'd be 7 Pacific and 9 o'clock Central. There you go.
Yep.
And 10 o'clock Eastern.
No, wait, it's 8 Eastern time.
Oh, 8 Eastern time.
I'm sorry, I'm glad I double-checked.
Neil turns beer into piss. Isn't that what we all do? But I'm not drinking it after it's gone through that cycle. Forget it. I'm not like Bear Grylls in one of those fucking survival shows where he pees through his t-shirt and then drinks it. Ew. Anyway. That's like gross. He's not a real survivor. You got to watch Survivor, man. He's much better. Les Stroud. He's a Canadian, too. All right, guys. That's it for this edition of Deconversion Stories. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. I could tell we enjoyed it because we were both laughing our heads off. Anywho, you know what to do. Send me a message if you'd like to join. Okay, Julie would like to join us. She just sent me a message. So that's cool. All right, and we'll be back with you shortly. I will I will put a link. Oh, I've already said all this shit. Why am I repeating myself? Anyways, what I always say at the end of these things, though, is like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.